Hello, love. Mm, I just came live to talk about what I heard while I was watching the movie. I fixed up the room real nice so all the kids could come get with me in my room and watch a movie on the TV because something came up about the movie Robots and I wanted to watch it with my grandsons. So here we are watching the movie. We're not too far into the movie and I start getting downloads about the movie, man. And I'm like, I need to remember that. And then I'm like, no, I need to just go ahead and uh, talk about it. And I need to talk about it right now. So that's what's happened. So we've been talking on the channel for a while. This illustration has come up several times on different videos about parts not being available at the baggage uh, carrying conveyor belts in back of the airport. And so the packages weren't being delivered. And those packages were the messages, spiritual messages that were trustworthy for a higher guidance. Those messages weren't coming through. And they weren't coming through because there was a faulty piece that had gone bad. But there were no replacements available for the faulty piece. And on top of that, all of the conveyor belts were not aligned properly. So they were facing every other direction than they should be. None was getting where it was supposed to be. It was a whole freaking mess back there. Okay, so fast forward to today's movie. Now, today's movie is Robots. It's a Pixar film, I believe. I could be mistaken. It's a cute little cartoon movie for the kids. And basically, all the robots that are outmoded, they're not upgraded. They're not the newer, fancier, flashy shit that they're designing. They can't get parts no more. But there's this kid. He believed in the statements of the owner of the part manufacturing company from years ago. Since he was a kid, he watched Mr. Bigwell talk about seeing a need and feeling a need, and he had parts for all the bots and all this stuff. And it was always like that. So he chasing his dream, and this is what he find when he get there. They're not making parts no more. If you broke down out there, they sweeping you up and throwing you to the melting machine so that they can make you into something new. So Rodney's ability is to repair the bots. And the thing is, during this time, the reason all this has happened is because Big World has been distracted. Later on in the movie, these children haven't got to that part yet, but I've seen it so many times since they were little babies. And later on in the movie, what they can find is Big World is distracted playing, stacking up dominoes to make them fall. Yeah, so many dominoes, he distracted over there. Meanwhile, these evil ruffians have taken over his place. And it was interesting because Bingwell was coming through as the higher vibrational self. And then I can't remember the bad guy's name and his mama that controlling him, who's evil too. There's a message in there too that I didn't see before. Thank you. Say it all in perfect timing, linearly, easy, so everybody can grasp. And this steak and potatoes, baby. This is spiritual steak and potatoes we're talking right here to you. And yeah, the screen is dark because I'm out on the patio. The kids are in the room watching the TV, so the screen is dark. Um, but the message is lit. Okay, the message is lit. Okay, like this tobacco I'm puffing on the patio. Anyways, yeah. So what that was showing me how the lower vibrational self is really taken over. And a lot of times that lower vibrational self is taken over because it's taking orders from who was the mother, wherever they were getting love, wherever they were getting appreciation, and whatever was expected of them to get it is their dominant energy and it's not always a higher vibrational energy. This is truly showing me a larger collective of humans living on Earth. hmm The channel message from the baggage conveyor system was that the parts were now available, but they were going to be issued to where it was most needed first, and then they were going to be evenly distributed upon availability to everyone else. Okay. That was in the channel message we received a couple years ago now. But from tonight, what I saw was, until the parts were available, until Mr. Bigwell come back, Rodney had the ability to use what was already there. And one of the things that they said, what are we going to do about these people? We got somebody out there making them feel good about themselves, like there's nothing wrong with them and they're okay. And now they're not upgrading themselves. And what I heard when I saw that part was is because they didn't like the people to free think. They they didn't like the people free thinking. They didn't want the people think they were okay in the upgrades. That's looking like people who are out here living for materialistic purposes, doing things because what they say. uh what's that saying? Trying to be like the Smiths or something like that, trying to get what they got, type of thing. Anyways, so some people are out here just living for an image, just for an image, not realizing that there's not really something wrong with them, you know. And then what I hear is people who got curly, beautiful curly hair, they want straight hair. People that got straight hair out there curling their hair. But it's bigger than that. It's along those lines, though. People don't want what they got. They're looking for what somebody else is telling them is better. What they don't understand is that's coming from and we're not saying that there's anything wrong with improving yourself or going for more in life or nothing like that. If you like new fancy stuff, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. But there's this idea of mass programming where, if you don't have it, if that's not your preference, or if it's not in the realm of where you're living right now and your energies, okay, that there's something wrong with that. And the message is coming through is not there's something wrong with it. Okay, now here's a lot of it too, is that this is all an internal thing. It has nothing to do so much with the external thing. Internally, that feeling of not enoughness, you're not good enough, is what that lower vibrational consciousness tries to push to you, tries to promote within you. Okay, within your mindset, within your energy. Yes. Okay. um Give me a moment while I just take a pause so I can see the next thing that's coming up to say. Hold on. Just like in the original channel message regarding the baggage conveyor belt system, in this, the pieces are just as you look at the cartoon, everybody like their hand falls off or stuff is in the wrong place, and it's just weird stuff like that is going on. And so he's able to take what they have in the most part and adjust it. Okay. And so there's that message that they want to convey to us, which is that you can take what you have, make an adjustment to it. I hear change your perspective of it, and then watch as what it delivers to you comes from that other perspective. Okay. And that's the work that Rodney Copperbottom is doing on him. He's over there working with what they have, creating from what they have. And this allows them to continue forward. Okay. The other part, there was a huge message, was the distraction of Mr. Big Weld. So the higher vibrational self is distracted with something else. Okay. And this is allowing the lower vibrational energy to dominate your consciousness. Okay. And it's like what the highest self is doing. It's like it's been fed something. It's been fed. Oh, it's been. Because here's the thing, while Mr. Big Wild was busy stacking dominoes in the most elaborate domino thing I've ever seen, where you push them over and then they all tumble. Um, he was at home. Nobody had seen him. He didn't show up. He didn't show up. So, and how is that true where the higher self hadn't shown up, hadn't shown up, hadn't shown up? But then there's this mechanic. I'm hearing a mind mechanic. Yeah, mind mechanic. Thank you. That comes in and is able to adjust the self view through awareness, through deeper levels of awareness, working with what you have, putting it where it's supposed to be, getting it to function correctly. You actually have everything you need. Just like the conveyor belt system, all the parts were there. One of them was just worn out and wasn't functioning correctly. But the majority of the mess was simply because those conveyor belts weren't aligned up correctly. So then you had, I remember specifically the scene that they showed me where you have this one conveyor belt that's supposed to go out to a certain gate, so that way they can get on the correct plane with the passengers to put them up there. Meanwhile, though, it's pointing in the right direction and it's shooting them all super fast. It's moving too fast and it's shooting them all against this cinder block wall that's like 4 or 5 stories tall in this giant warehouse. Well, another one, the conveyor belt goes up on an incline and then it's supposed to meet with another line that is it's not pointed at correctly, and therefore once it hits the end of the incline, all the baggages just fall straight to the floor. So there's a big old mountain of luggage on the floor. And there's a big old mountain of luggage on the floor because they didn't make their ride. And so the point is, a lot of it has to do with an internal alignment. Then internal alignment is important. And internal alignment is important because without the internal alignment, the external alignment can't happen. And the internal alignment is the first part. The internal alignment is the first part. They're saying that's why the highest self consciousness is staying internal, because it's trying to work on the internal alignment first. So many people want to fix their life by fixing what's going on outside of them. And what sources tell me, like, no, nothing out there. So in other words, you want to fix the problem, but listen, you got to adjust where these conveyor belts are lined up for the baggages to ever hit their intended destination. Um, there's no sense in trying to first get everything, you know, keep feeding it more and bringing in more from the outside. We got to fix what we have right here and now internally. Because if the internal system isn't aligned correctly, nothing is going to reach the intended destination. Okay. And so, in that energy, this is where you take that deep, profound look at yourself and you ask yourself questions about those things that have got you. I'm hearing the word discombobulated, upset, in the throes of frustration, it triggered when I hear your name, that type of thing. Yeah. Look at those things. What is the root of them? Where is the misalignment happening? What's the self view that's attached to that? What's the source of the experience that's attached to that? And what self view did you attach to yourself because of that experience? Something happened prior to this moment, usually quite prior, a lot of times in the first 7 years, even of a life, which is why certain cultures have the uh, custom of taking the grandbaby to live with grandma for the first 7 years. I've heard that about the Samoan culture. And so that they can receive a programming that goes in touch with their ancestral lineage and education and awareness of the traditions of the people, because it's programming. It's a programming time. So a lot of times these issues that have occurred to cause a misalignment happen during the programming time, during setup, for example. And so uh, we've got to find the source of the misalignment internally first before any of the luggage can get to where it's supposed to be, before the packages can be delivered, before the understanding of the internal messages is what it was meant to be. Okay. And so with that, it's good to ask yourself explorative questions when there's something that is that thing that messed up your life, or that thing that messed up your opportunity, or that person that really did this and that and the other to you, you want to look at, and sometimes it's from your own experience, and sometimes it's an experience that you can't even recall, because this stuff can happen in utero. Sometimes this stuff can happen because you were born into a certain family line, and then later you started to, you know, learn from your environment. There's an unlearning phase, which is an alignment phase, and there's a relearning, and it all kind of happens at the same time. What is beneficial to be relearned, and what is needing to be unlearned, is coming to the forefront at the same time. They're showing me two halves of a whole are constantly being presented, and you'll see it, because you'll notice which one of those halves you'll see, whether you're uh, holding on to some energy that is better transmuted for your higher vibrational well-being of self, by noticing which one you're turning away from, where you have resistance in yourself. And the key to uncovering these things in the self is always going to be uh, inside of you: acceptance, forgiveness, understanding that that's not who you are today, to even recognize these things. Because trust and believe that if you are recognizing these things, you're not who you used to be. Yeah, you're not who you used to be. You're not where you used to be when it happened. It takes a certain level of having already accepted internally to even see what it is that's triggering, to even see where your own misalignment is. But here's the other thing of this: there is external influences, just like in that movie as well, because that movie doesn't just, what I was shown was a personal self application, as well as a macrocosmic, societal, even, environmental example as well, where there is negative influences out there, and there is so much pressure to conform to the new way, conform, get yourself a new car, you need to have this bag or you ain't shit. Oh, you need to have the newest phone. We're on the iPhone 212 now, aren't we? I don't know, but I'm just saying, you get it. For somebody, 212 is important. 212, February 12th. Yeah, I see that as well. 212. I heard two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward, one step back. That's a big programming. That's a big programming. Somebody's been holding on to that programming. Yeah. We don't have to hold on to that programming. We could work with what we have, readjust what we have, just like Rodney Copperbottom does. He makes adjustments to what is there, okay, so that they can function. So that they can function. And from there, things get better for everyone. And then what do you know? Big Wald ends up coming back. What do you know? He kicks booty of the bad guys, and that's that, and they're done with. But it's a good movie, and I love the way this download came to me. And I'm sitting there like, if I don't get up and talk about this right now, I don't know if it's gonna come out right. I gotta go. I was like, okay, guys, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go record. I gotta talk about the movie. I just got a huge download. I'll be back. And so here we are, working on 20 minutes now. Um, And so that's why the screen is black. I didn't want to put on the lights out here. But thank you for all you do, for your presence. And I'd love to hear your feedback, your comments about this conversation. What did you think? Have you gotten your own downloads from the movie? And I wouldn't be surprised if I get more downloads watching the movie. But I always get downloads watching movies. But today I felt like I needed to come on and go live and tell you about what I had heard, because it applied to an experience that they've been showing me for a while. And I just want to reiterate, like, the piece was available. The piece was made available. It was given where the need was strongest, where it was going to affect the most, be most effective, where it's going to move the most luggage, in other words. So this also is why sometimes different ones feel like, oh, well, you know, that person must be gifted. They have a special gift. Is it that there's a special gift that makes me any different from you, or you any different from them, or that one any different from us? Or is it that that one is utilizing that gift in a different way, and maybe it hasn't been, maybe it's still dormant in some, right? It's there though. It's there though. And the parts are available, and they're being handed out basically where the need is greatest, which is who's the one that's ready for it, who's the one that's been looking for it, who's been taking the steps to elevate their consciousness, to tap into that inner self, to be honest with themselves, be raw, be real, be honest with themselves, to do the work of transmutation of these lower vibrational energies, to raise your consciousness and then affect changes to be the change you want to see on planet Earth. See, Gaia raised its own frequency. And so Gaia is loving, matching with those of a higher frequency. And as a result, if you're of a higher frequency, you're a priority. And if you're just wanting to be of a higher frequency, you're a priority. If you're doing the best you can, trust and believe you've been a priority, to raise your frequency. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Because, honey, I don't know how many years young you are, but I'm about to be 46 years young in just over a week, I just realized. And I'm just like, okay, cool. It's been an interesting life. You learn so much, you grow so much, but it's a choice. It's a choice, and you've made it. And it takes as many years young as you are when you figure it out for some people to unlearn all that they've been. But it's happening faster and faster these days. I want to say that. And you have a huge influence. You can jumpstart it. It just depends on how quickly you grasp the messages of embracing all of you. Uh-huh. You have to embrace your shadow aspects and your light aspects. You learn mastery over both of them. And the only way you can do that is by confronting all these places where these shadow aspects come from. It's like getting to the root of it puts you in control of it. Yeah. Accepting it for what it is, freeing yourself from any shame, guilt, or anything else. Okay. Removing those entanglements, those emotional entanglements from these experiences, and turning it into your strength, your power, your ability, your talents. Yeah. And then once you've done so much of this, it seems as though it's only natural that you would want to share that with others. Share that with others. You will want to share that with others because it will make such a huge influence in your life in a beautiful way. It always does. And that this little light of mine, I hear, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And that's exactly what you're going to do because it does create light in you. It creates a lighter energy. I mean, just you feel lighter. Heavy things happen and you just feel lighter about it all. And it feels like, oh, okay, I got this. It's, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me because everything is always working out for me. And then it's like when you're there, what happens is others gravitate towards your light. Just like everybody in the movie, they figure out Rodney Copperbottom knew how to fix it. Oh, he had people just everywhere lined up, hanging around, just waiting to see him so they can get their turn to get fixed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the effect you have when you're in somebody's energy field. You be close to them, they be feeling differently. They be feeling more at peace. I've had people say they can sleep better and they always begin sleepy. And spirit showed me is because you got a healing energy. You have a very healing energy. When people have wounds, Chiron the wounded healer, if you've come back from healing your wounds, you will be a magnet to those who require the healing of their wounds. And that is a whole life purpose for you to accept or not. Okay. But it'll be an opportunity that'll be presented. Anyhow, we are going to go back and finish the movie with my family. And I look forward to our next transmission. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Until next time, sending you so much love and peace and happiness. Kamsahamnida. Gracias. Later, baby. And I'm out.